Hello fly tyers, welcome to the Fanaticals fly tying moment with Aaron at the fly desk. Today we will be tying one of the most popular flies out there called the woolly bugger. Now if you are a beginner to fly tying, this is probably one of the first flies that you ever attempted to tie. When I have taught fly tying classes in the past, we usually start with the woolly bugger. Number one, because it's very effective and there is nothing more gratifying to a fly tyer than to catch a fish on a fly that you have tied. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start on the woolly bugger. This one I call the Joker bugger. It's pretty bright and flashy, but it is very effective. Woolly buggers are nice because you can catch bass, bluegill, trout, a lot of different species of fish will definitely eat a woolly bugger. It can be fished a lot of different ways. It can be fished down deep, stripped through a stillwater lake. Lots of different ways to fish a woolly bugger, and we will be doing future videos on that. So to get started, this woolly bugger I call the Joker bugger, and with my color scheme here you will see why. So I use some bright orange thread, and with the woolly bugger I like to go coat the whole, or cover the whole shank of the hook in thread, and I go right to the barb of the hook. I don't go too far back, I go right to the barb of the hook. For the tail, we will be using just some olive marabou. Now for my tail, I don't like it to be any longer than the hook. Okay, so what I do is I cut my tail, and then as I am bringing it up, I actually like to put a lot of the marabou all the way to the front towards the bead. And that helps me taper the woolly bugger. A beginner fly tyer, he'll just put, you know, the marabou to right here, and then he's got this big gap, and so it tends to taper the woolly bugger this way, where we want it to taper back this way. So next step is I'm just going to put on a little bit of wire. You can use gold, copper, silver. This is actually an olive wire that I found at Sportsman's Warehouse. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some hackle. Now, with my hackle, I don't like to get really long fibers. I like to keep my proportions good on my woolly bugger. So I'm going to pull out this particular one. Now, I have seen people do hackle many different ways. I totally understand if you don't like the way I do it. I just do it because it's worked for me. But I've done it a lot of different ways. I've put my hackle this way, so my fly tapered more this way. But I do think it looks better if you can taper your hackle to where it gets bigger towards the head. So once I have my hackle here, what I will do is I will simply pinch it, and I will pull on the hackle so it spreads it out. Then what I will do is I'm going to attach the tip of the feather right here. And I'm going to lay the hackle so it is facing up. And once I've done that, I'm going to wrap my thread towards the front of the hook. And then come back one more time, because now I've checked my taper. Now the next thing I'm going to do, the last thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to tie in my olive pearl chenille. And once again, I'm going to tie this material on the side of the hook, taking it all the way up to the bead. And then I'm going to go to the front. Now you'll notice I have tied the chenille on last, then my hackle, then my wire. And so whatever I tied on last, that is what I'm going to wrap first around the hook. So we're simply going to wrap just on top of the previous wrap until I get to the front of the hook, and then I like to pull it up like that, and then I cinch it down, and what that does is it wraps it really tight for my last couple wraps to secure it to my hook shank. Now I will take my hackle and I will simply wrap it evenly back towards the front of the hook. And you can see by starting with it up, it flows backwards, really nice. And then once I get to the front of the hook, I will actually do a couple extra wraps because I want this fly to be more bulky at the front than I do at the back. So we are to that point. Now what I will do is, all this wire is good for, you really can't even see it, but it is good to wrap over the top of my hackle just so I secure it a little bit better, because a woolly bugger is pretty easy for a fish to rip apart, and I found if I put a little bit of wire there, it holds that fly together a lot better. Now I like tying woolly buggers with a bead, and the biggest reason is with the woolly bugger it's very easy to crowd the head of your fly. Back when I first started tying, you didn't use a lot of beads, and so some of my flies I couldn't even get the line through after I was done tying them. So once I get to this point, I will simply pull all that hackle chenille material back, and I will build up a little head like so. And what that does is it pinches that bead against my eye, makes it really nice and solid. And then once I'm to this point, I will whip finish. Now to finish this fly, you can either use some UV glue, head cement, or I actually like just a little dab of super glue, believe it or not. Just to get it on that thread. And there you have it, fly tyers, the Joker Bugger. Very effective fly. It will even imitate a crawdad later on in the summer when the water gets warm and the crawdads turn a little bit more orange. This has been a very effective fly at a lot of lakes for me. Thank you for watching the Fanaticals fly tying moment at Aaron's Fly Desk, and we can't wait to post our next video. Thank you.